Look, I'm sitting really high on my chair. Can't reach my feet.
Organize me.
Organize me. Okay, so this needs to be interactive because, so there's a couple different things about organization. We all have different brains, right? And all of our brains are going to hit on things that are important. I wondered what was going on. My child's using the blender. I'm like, what the heck? It sounds like somebody's like using a chainsaw. Blender. Okay. Are you done with the blender? Hurry and finish. It's loud. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, so what works for one person doesn't work for everyone, but the concepts are the same in order to be able to keep the things straight that you're doing so that you're not so flustered and so you don't forget things. Because that's really one of the biggest pieces is if you get too much going on and you start to drop the ball and forget things, it's frustrating. And that goes for work stuff, but that goes for family stuff too. If you can't keep what's going on straight and you drop the ball on what's going on with maybe family things that you need to do as well. So it's all of those things in general, but I am going to teach you how to keep your business stuff straight. When it comes to family stuff, I know I've talked about this multiple times, but the Sunday scheduling, this is really important because if you don't already plug in on Sundays, I sound like a broken record, but if you don't plug in on Sundays, what's going on during the week with the family, then you don't know how to schedule around that. Case in point, my husband told me on last Wednesday that he was going to take his parents and, said that we should take my dad to lunch on Thursday. Well, that wasn't enough notice for me because I already planned an appointment with the client on Thursday. So it just has to be communicated with your spouse, if you have a spouse, with your family, your kids, whoever, that if you're going to be putting something on the schedule, that knowing, talk about it on Sunday and for the foresee future, as much as they can tell you and know, that you need to be able to get on the calendar already what you're going to be doing that week or what they need help with or whatever, so that you're not booking over the top of it. And then they'll learn. They will learn that they need to tell you earlier if they haven't already learned that. So that's a good tip for family. Okay, so now we're going to talk about business. So how on earth, it was really funny. I had somebody, when I had posted last week, I can't remember who it was, they'd mentioned that my board gives them anxiety. So it may seem like that, but it shouldn't be so bad. If you have a method of organization to keep all of your deals straight, having a larger board really shouldn't be a big deal, okay? So first off, I keep a battle board. And I didn't do this at first, and it was suggested to me by another agent that I was friends with that had been in business for 10 plus years. And she's like, you need to write stuff on a board. And I was like, okay, well, it's actually been the best thing for me, keeping a board. And I will go through. So I'm gonna pick up my thing here, and I'm gonna show you my board. And I'll tell you why I do what I do here. Okay, it's gotten worse. Okay, these are all my pendings. That's all pending right now. I keep this over the top. I actually write my commission down. Turn that so it's not so crazy. Okay, so what I keep track of is the client name, the address of the property, the price, so whatever our sales price is, and then the close date. Underneath my Post-it note, I have the commission. So I hide the commission with the Post-it notes because if I have people come into my office, friends come into my office, whatever, I don't really want them to see all of my commission on there. So I hide that. But the reason that I put the commission down is because we still have to budget for life, right? So if we have bills coming up, if we have trips we want to take, if we have whatever, I still need to have a budget. So plus, anticipating what you're making is fun. It just is. It kind of keeps you a little bit motivated. So I always will keep the commission listed as well. I put them in date order of when they're going to close. And I try to keep space, but see, it got a little out of control because I ended up with some August and then I went back to June. And now it's a little bit, this is actually into next year. But it got a little bit out of control. So what I will do is I actually will take a picture of this and print it out. And then I will rewrite them. Now, maybe seems like it's a little, there's a lot of people that are like technologically more advanced than I am. And that's okay. And somebody may do this on the computer, which is great. There's something for me about sitting at my desk every day and looking up at my board. And then I can look at my board and I can go, okay, what do I have coming up closing, right? What's most important? And then I hit on what's most important and it's right there in my face. It is, Gay says it's a bigger impact to see a board. It is. For some reason, it is there. And you always have to look at it because it's right next to you. That's probably like my number one tip if you were to do something. And even if you only have 2 things on your board, even if you just have your headings on your board because you don't have anything going on yet, right? You still need to have your board. The other thing is it's motivating because if you look at your board and you're like, oh, I don't have, like, when I looked at my board and I'm like, crap pans, I have no listings, right? I can see that, like, right away. It's a visual cue for me that I may need to pick up getting more listings because I didn't have very many listings. So the other thing is it's a cue for me is if I have this much pending, I know I'm very busy. Like, I know that I really have to buckle down and I have to, like, be very intentional with my time, pay very close attention because there are a lot of balls in the air, a lot of people that I'm taking care of that I need to keep track of. I do put, and this is the interesting thing too, if you'll watch, like, I had this board split in half at one point. And then sometimes it gets heavier on the listings, which are on the top, but right now I've got 4 listings up there, right? But then way more pendings. You can see what the balance is. It's just very good to do a really quick visual, but to be able to keep track of everything is huge, okay? On a second note, I also keep a Google Doc. So in my Google Doc, I will have this same information, not the commission. I don't put that in the Google Doc. But what I keep in a Google Doc is the client information. So their actual email, phone number, whoever, when we are pending. I will also keep the title company and the title company contact info on there. Essentially, and then the other agent, their phone number, their email. That's more of my contact list, and I want the property and I want the closing date. That's what's important for me. So why do I need this? Well, you're driving around, you're out and about, right? Or you're out of town or whatever, and somebody calls you and they want whatever. You need to call the other agent for some reason, right? Where are you going to find the contact info? You don't want to have to pull up the whole document, the whole contract, and go find it again. It wastes time. So if you keep it all in one spot, or let's say that, you sign an addendum and you need to send that addendum to title. Well, it's not your usual title person because you didn't have the buyer. And so you need to find whoever title is so you can send that to title. Or you need a schedule for closing. It just really keeps a shortcut in time for being able to contact everybody you need to and get it done like right then. I'll say multiple times this, that don't wait. So it's not going to change if a request comes in today if you wait and do it tomorrow. There's 2 parts to that. So if you are doing something that you need to be doing or family or whatever, you don't need to stress yourself out because sometimes there's no difference between today and tomorrow, right? Can they get that done? Can you get that to them tomorrow? Yes. If there's no difference between today and tomorrow, get it to them tomorrow. However, if you are a procrastinator, don't wait because there is no difference between today and tomorrow, right? You're either going to do it today or you do it tomorrow. You're still going to have to do it. So just get it done and get it off your plate and move on because more things will come onto your plate. That's the don't wait part. And you will, when you can keep on top of what comes in and get it out quickly, there's a couple real positive pieces to that. It shows your efficiency. It makes other people happy to work with you, including title companies, lenders, other agents. When you're on top of things, they appreciate that. And then when you go to make an offer on a property next time, and they're the agent on the property, well, they're going to be happy to work with you because they're like, oh, this person, right, knows what they're doing. They get their crap done instead of having to bug you to get your paperwork in. or to get whatever done, right? Your inspections, everything. So don't wait. If you have something that you are going to put on your list to do, get it done today if you have that time to do it. Okay. This I didn't write down, but it is important. Your email. There's the type of person that will leave everything in their email. And if you do that, don't do that. So what I mean is when you have stuff that filters into your email, once you complete the task of that email, file the email. So either set yourself up on, like I have mine in Outlook, and I think I've shown you guys this before. I have mine in Outlook where I will create folders. You can do this in Gmail, wherever, but create folders. As soon as I have finished that task of what that email is asking me to do, I will file it in the file folder in the email system. Then I still have it in case I have to ever reference back to it, but at least it's out of my inbox and I did it. If it's in my inbox, it means I haven't completed it yet. That's easy. And then if you get back, I mean, the problem that I find with people is if they aren't categorizing or getting rid of the emails, things get buried. And I've had this with other agents where I'm like, well, I sent you that already. And they're like, oh, yep, it was buried in my email. Well, nothing should be buried. So the only way to keep things from being buried is to get them out of your email, your inbox, as soon as you have completed the task. That is like probably almost number one right after the board. That's really important to do. As you get more deals going on, and even, I mean, just requests in general, right? Because there's some junk mail that comes into there. You're going to get notifications of new, properties that are on the market, all that stuff. You need to just sift through all that and tackle it. Say, what do I need to do with this email? And then do it and then get rid of it. Okay. I've encouraged everyone to put yourself on a search. And when you have yourself on a search, then you are receiving emails all the time. Right? I can check my phone and all through the day, I'm going to get notifications of new properties that have come on the market. When I taught you about that, if you've made it through the first part of the Elevate courses, when I taught you to do that, it's not so that you click on it, go look at it, scan the whole thing, look at all the pictures. You don't have to do that. You just need to look at it, go, what's the price? What's the square footage? What's the area? Kind of take a mental note and then delete. That's it. You don't have to keep them, just delete them. You are just taking a really quick reference to what's going on in the market and what properties there are that have just come on the market. And of course, what's going on with the prices, right? Just that generalization so you know what's happening in the market. So, but delete them. As soon as you're done, look at them, delete them. Don't let them get, all gathered up in your email. All right, so a lot of people like to do stuff online, which is good. And I mean, our docs, of course, all have to be housed online as well. I do, if the computer goes down or my internet's having issues or you just never know what, sometimes it's actually faster to open up a drawer and then grab a folder. Let me grab a folder and I'll show you. Right? This is what I do. I have my drawer full of folders, and on each folder, I put just a little sticky tab of the closing date. Okay? And then when I'm really on top of it, opposite. I've got, so always the property address. I stick the buyer's information, buyer-seller's information. And then I'll put their phone number and their email address on here. If I'm really on top of things, I will. It's a really quick, easy way also to reference. If you need their information, you just grab it, stick it in there. You can keep their info in your phone too. I do that. I mean, I've got the client's phone number, name. Try to attach the email inside your phone as well. It makes it easy to reference to get a hold of them. Yes, title company. These are free from our title company. So I just go pick them up for free all the time and I print all of my documents in here. Every transaction, every single document, it gets uploaded to where it has to go for the broker, but I always print a copy. Because it's a whole lot faster if somebody says something about an addendum or I need to check a date or whatever to just grab my folder, sift through it, find my date, instead of loading different pages, clicking through, trying to find all my crap online. It's a whole lot faster. So that's that I keep. And that is an easy way for me. I file them in my drawer. And I've got, make you guys all sick here, you can see. Anyway, so then they're just all date ordered. And then I will put my active files in here, so any active listings I have. And then all of my pending stuff I have in here as well. And then I just have these little tabs. So when they go pending, I grab the file folder or create a new one if it's a buyer and just throw my date tab on it and throw it in here in order. Add it to my board in order. So then everything's right, synchronized with the order that they're in. Okay. Oh, that was messy. Okay. All right. So as much as like online stuff, and this is where the brain stuff comes in. Some people are so like love technology and they're really fast at it. So they may do all this online. They may have all sorts of like document file systems and whatever online, and that may work really well for them. My brain, the way that I function, I still like paper. Like when it's right in front of me, it like makes me do it because it exists right there. I can pull out a folder. If I have certain stuff to do, I'll pull out multiple folders, lay them on my desk for the next day, and I know that I have to accomplish these things on these files the next day. Right? So it gives you that really easy cue. Yeah, Gay says she does a hybrid of paper and electronic. Yeah, I feel like you've got to. I mean, we're still in a paper, still have paper, right? So whatever your filing system is, you figure out what works for you. I've tried a few different things. This is what works for me to keep everything straight. So I just continue on that same path. Okay, next thing is we have a reminder or schedule system. So again, some people love the technology. You may have a program. You may have something that alerts you. There's a couple different things that I will use for reminders for me. So what I will do is if I need to, let's say I'm out doing something out for a walk and like it pops into my head, oh, I need to remember to do this thing. I will just say, hey, Siri, add reminder, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, call Pete. Right, call Pete for whatever.
Okay, your reminder is set for tomorrow 9 a.m.
Okay, there we go. So makes it really easy, right? So I don't have to pull it out, type it out, whatever. So when something comes to your mind, just know the older that we get, the less we're going to remember. Like it's like the less we can house in our head. And so when you remember it, you need to, for sure, 100%, you're going to have to make a note somewhere. So that's a good thing to do, a reminder that way. You can add it into your calendar in your phone. So then you can get and set an alarm so that gets done. The one thing that you need to find one way that's consistent that you do it, because the biggest mistake is if you do something over here, sometimes something over here, sometimes, right? Sometimes on paper, sometimes on your phone, sometimes on a Post-it note stuck to your computer, which I have lots of those too. If you do it in all different ways, you're going to miss something. Something will fall through the cracks. So what I used to do was I would write it all down in my planner, any to-dos that I had, and then I would make sure I'm syncing my planner with my phone. I got lazy and I don't sync my planner with my phone all the time. I actually just get really sick of my phone, honestly, because we're on it all the time. All the time. I get sick of my phone. So I just put everything down. I think I ate chocolate yesterday because I did eat chocolate. I have chocolate on my planner. Anyway, but I will write down, that's one of the reasons why I created the planner to start with for myself, is because it would help me categorize what to-dos I had to do and then get those plugged into the days I need to do them. And then it's real easy to keep track that way, including repairs or whatever else you have going on. Keeping track of those things, that's really helpful. So whichever way you're going to choose to do it, make sure that you have one way that you will do all the time, and then you can sync it with other things if you need to, or if it's real important stuff, appointments, you need your family to be able to maybe see them, and you have like a joint family calendar and you're going to be busy, then you can be able to put those in the phone and the joint calendar, whatever works for you, but find the one way that works for you. Okay. And then once you have those things down, you need to review them. So review your clients and your deals. Well, we got those two things. I got two. So we're going to go with this one first. So review the clients and the deals. So that's one of the reasons why I love the board, is because I'll sit down, I'll take a glance over it, see what's going on, see what's coming up, see what my next tasks need to be, or who I need to check in with, if I need to schedule closings, whatever it might be. So that's why I like the board, so I can just quickly review every day what's going on or what I need to do. And a lot of times before I go to bed at night, I'll kind of take a look at it when I'm planning my day for tomorrow. I'll take a look to see, okay, is there anything coming up that I might need to do? So that's one of the things that I will do all the time. Then you need to preview tomorrow's tasks tonight. So in order to stay ahead of the game, ahead of the day, you need to look through, okay, what do I have going on tomorrow? Make sure that everything's scheduled out. You have enough time for each of the tasks that you're going to do that you can foresee. And then the other thing that you need to do is take a look at what open time frames you have. So that then you know already, if somebody calls and says, hey, I would like, whatever, I want to see a house, or listing appointment or whatever, and you want to make an appointment with somebody, you already know what time frames you have available, because you've kind of previewed what's going on the next day. If you preview the next day and it's completely booked, then you have to push somebody to the day after, right? Oh, Colleen says that's where she needs work, is to know her day ahead. It's just sit down, really just a habit, right? But to look at it the night before and see what you have going on. It will help you, it's not going to change what's happening the next day, but you are going to be more prepared and less frazzled. That's what it is. And then, like I've said before, it's not a surprise. Like, all these things are happening. The day is happening anyway. So we just need to be aware of what's happening during the day, so that we are prepared and we're not reacting, right? We want to be more proactive. We're not reacting. Oh, say hello to my 18-year-old. Okay, yeah. Gay says it helps to move the to-do task that didn't get completed to the next day's to-do list. Correct. So the things that you have not, gotten's not a word, the things that you have not completed in a day, then you can, at the end of the night, if you're like, okay, I didn't complete X, Y, and Z, then you write those on the next day. You put them in the next days. Now, the trick to that is, we talked about kind of like Friday absolutes. When you get to Friday, you can't carry those over to Monday. Absolutes by Friday, the tasks that you have written down for the week need to be done Friday. Don't start carrying them over to Monday, because what will happen is they'll carry to Monday, and then the next Monday, and then the next Monday. Like, pretty quick, they just disappear. You are prolonging getting this stuff done. So Friday absolutes, if you're going to put it on your calendar, get it done by Friday. Okay? And always, right, communicate. So this has to do with communicating with yourself. I know that sounds weird, but you need to communicate with yourself, and you need to think through, have I put too much on my calendar for the day? Have I given myself enough time for the tasks that I'm going to be allotting to do? Right? Am I going to feel frazzled for the day? Have I left the time that I needed for the family? Like, do I have a couple minutes to breathe? Do I not? Did I overbook myself? You need to assess what's going on for the next day to see if you are going to be in good shape or not in good shape for the day, and if you have any concerns. If you have concerns, you'd be surprised if you accidentally overbooked. If you called somebody and say, hey, would we be able to move your appointment to tomorrow at 5? Whatever. You'd be surprised most people say yes. Sometimes I maybe tell a little bit of a fib, and I'll be like, oh, we can't see this house until 3 o'clock. Well, can we? Because that's what works for me. Maybe we could get into it earlier, but that's what works for me. So sometimes I will just say, hey, this time works. Does that work for you? And work it around your schedule. If you are the people pleaser type, That's where you have to be careful, where you feel like you're going to be people pleasing and you're worried about maybe disappointing or not, being able to accomplish things exactly when they feel like they need them accomplished. Just know there's not a specific time that anything has to be done. We may have expectations. Clients may have expectations. That doesn't mean that that's gospel and that that's when it has to be done. It just means that that's the thought that their brain had, that, oh, I would like it to be done at this time. That doesn't mean that it has to be done at that time. Right? So in people pleasing, just remember just that. Their thoughts and emotions are their thoughts and emotions. That doesn't mean that they are true, correct, have to be. It just means that they had a thought, and that's okay. And then you'll try to work with it the best you can. And if you can't, that's okay too. Right? You can't fall into that always doing what somebody asks at the exact time. So that also brings a point up where when we receive like emails and requests and at a point you're going to get inundated with people that want things from you and have questions for you, and clients need things and lenders call to ask questions, right? And everybody needs something from you. And then inevitably your child comes and says, can I buy leggings from PayPal on your PayPal? But everybody's going to want something at some point. It's okay to shut it down for a second. Take a minute to think through what actually is a priority and what you do need to tackle first. So inevitably, you're going to get lots of phone calls at some point. You're going to feel a little bit overwhelmed. And that's when you just stop for a second and then you prioritize what does need to happen. Okay? Don't let other people and their priorities dictate your priorities. You need to be in charge of your own schedule, your own life, right? And just because they have a request and they want this thing done right now, that doesn't mean it has to be done right now. It means that's what they want. You'll get to it when you can. Now, there's the balance. I'm always going to throw in there's the balance with don't be lazy. Don't not answer your phone. Don't push things off that you could do just because you don't feel like doing them. So there's the balance of being the overachiever and wanting to please everybody all the time and answer the phone all the time and be able to get everything done right now. And I'm just going to kind of ignore life because I don't feel like dealing with anything right now and not getting things done. That one is going to hurt your business. Right? But if you are communicating, hey, I'll get to you at 3:00 today, right? Or I can call you back at X time. Or shoot an email back. I can respond to this, or I can get you this information at 5:00 today. Whatever it is, like keep communicating, but it doesn't mean you have to drop everything, because what will happen is you'll start bouncing around like a squirrel all over the place. You're going to be on one task, and then somebody's going to send in an email. You're going to be like, oh crap, I need to respond to this right now. So then you're going to start responding to that, and then you forget what you were doing. And then that gets kind of messed up or dropped, right? And eventually your time becomes inefficient because you're not using it wisely and you're not staying on the one task that you are working on. A tip that a lot of people will do is you cannot, my phone is ringing off the hook today even, but one thing that you can do is, plan to sift through your emails later in the day. Or if you have time, maybe like after lunch and you have a little bit more quiet time after lunch, find a time that works for you to be able to sift through all of your emails. I will always, on my phone, I will check my emails. I'll be like, okay, like what's up? Like, what do we have right now? 21 emails now that have come in since I went and got my hair done this morning in the last hour, right? So if I'm looking at that, it's like, where do we start, right? So I'll kind of scan through them and I'll be like, is there anything actually very important that somebody really needs, like right this second? And when I say important, the importance is going to be a lead or a client request. Those are the money-making pieces that are important that you want to always respond to quickly. When it comes to like the follow-up of, let's see, I've got this lady that I love transaction coordinators. This one's very annoying. where she will ask me every other day, did we plan to get the septic done? What day is the septic going to get done? Is the septic done yet? Do you have the septic receipt? And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's driving me crazy. I just started ignoring her. Thanks. I know how to do my job. I'll get the septic receipt to you when I have it done, right? Stop asking me. I hate you. Like that's how she makes me feel. So do I need to respond to her? No, I don't need to respond to her. She's wasting my life. I don't need to respond to her. But if a client sends me an email and says, hey, we're thinking about selling our house, can I make an appointment with you? Or are you taking new clients? Well, yeah, that's when I'm going to email back and say, yep, what's a great time? Or are you free? Then I'll check my planner. Are you free at 3 o'clock tomorrow? Are you free at 2? Or I can give you a call. What's a good time to talk today? And I can call and get a little information before I actually make an appointment to go meet with them. Right? That one's important because agents who don't respond to clients very quickly will quickly lose the clients. 100%. There's nothing more obnoxious to buyers than not getting response back from an agent. So, Sammy says, I've learned there are shortcuts on your iPhone that you can send automated messages to buy time for yourself quickly. Oh, awesome. Okay. Do you want to expand on that? You can unmute.
I can do it later when we're done. I want you to get through everything. It's just basically you put in like talk to text. I have like I just asked her, I just put TTT on my phone and it just automatically comes up, talk to text, please forgive typos, or I'm on the, on the road, I'll call back and whatever. It's like you can put them into your message. Like you can just put letters that represent a whole phrase and it's tucked in your phone. So you can just push that letter. Like if I'm writing a text, I have SBA, which is Sammy Bulger agent to other agents, or SBC, which is Sammy Bulger to clients with the information that I tag, at the bottom of the text. So there's just little things like that. I'll put it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you go in and do that?
That's a good question.
You'll have to post. If you post in the group about that
Yeah, I'll put it on Facebook group. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
that helps a lot because it helps buy time quickly.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be really great. Awesome. Yeah, shortcuts are good. That's for sure. I do a lot of talk texting. Sometimes it doesn't come out right, but I do a lot of talk texting too. So, okay. So honestly, that is like the whole of keeping track of everything. The only thing I would say on top of all that is when I taught you guys at the beginning of Elevate and I teach you about having your team, right? Your dream team. That's the reason why I teach you to have the dream team as well, because it makes it very efficient and quick to send out, contact these people, whether it's the lender or the title company or your inspector, whatever. Having those people on hand, using the same people all the time, it doesn't take much for you to remember who you're working with. So you don't have 50 different lenders that you're trying to get a hold of when you're trying to check on financing for your client or what's going on or when you're going to get docs, right? That's part of the efficiency. Yes, it's because you find a lender that you trust. Yes, it's because you find a lender that does a really good job and always closes. Those things are important. But the bonus that comes with that is it's easy to remember who you have to send a contract to when you send a contract to the same person all the time. Very easy. So that cuts down on having to remember who it is that you're supposed to be talking to. And then also, when you have people you work with all the time, they get really good at watching your back and you're watching their back. So nobody really lets the ball drop because you're all working together and somebody's going to remember. Somebody's going to remember if we needed something done, right? Or if we're missing an addendum or whatever it might be. So that's why you have your dream team. It also helps with the efficiency in all of your transactions. Really the only reason I can have a board as full as I do without having, a transaction coordinator or anything like that. So does anybody have any comments or questions or something I didn't hit on that you were maybe hoping that you might struggle with?
Lisa, I have something.
Sure.
Where you create a folder with your email?
Uh-huh.
I was able to do that where you create the folder and then you click on the email and you drag it to the folder.
Yes.
To store it. For some reason, I can't do it. I can't grab that email and bring it down to the folder. Am I grabbing something wrong? And this, I was doing this like 3 years ago, and now I'm trying to do it again.
What system are you using?
Yahoo email.
Ooh,
Is that what you mean?
that one I don't know. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure on that one. I haven't
Yeah,
used Yahoo.
yeah. Because I've done it before. What, you use Gmail?
I use Gmail. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I use Outlook. So I filter two
Mm-hmm.
different email addresses, well, three different email addresses into Outlook.
Mm-hmm.
And Outlook is something you have to pay for, though.
Oh,
Otherwise, I know in Gmail, if you have a Gmail address, you can create folders in your Gmail as well.
oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I actually, gosh, I've got every folder from the last 6 years for every transaction I've done in my Outlook. So then I
Oh,
can actually go reference. So it's
oh, okay.
nice for that too. Or if somebody asks you 6 months later, a year later, about a property or a question on it or a
Right.
water test or something. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so
Right.
Yahoo, I'm not sure on. So I wish I
Yeah.
could help you. But
Yeah. And there was a time I was able to do it, but it just won't catch.
I would say Google it. Yeah,
Okay.
or right click it and probably send to folder, and then you can probably send it to a folder.
Right. Okay. I'll try that.
Try that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
How do you handle getting copies of documents to your clients if they are not local? I just email. I email them a copy. If they're old and they want a paper copy, then
Yeah.
I'll print a copy and then mail them a printed copy. So I will usually ask them like what they prefer. Any younger generations are always fine with email. The older generations sometimes want something printed, copy of it. So I'll just print it off and throw it in a manila folder and mail that off.
Okay. I use Google Docs too. So I'll put everything because I don't have the traditional brokerage brick and mortar building to go to. So what I basically do is I use Google Docs, and my broker absolutely hates it. But I told her, I said, then tell me what you want to use, right? But I use Google Docs, and I give the link to my client and I give the link to my broker. And then I'll also do the mail out if they request it. But that way, at least they can't say I didn't get them a copy,
Right.
because, we have that requirement. So I was just curious if you did something different.
No, and if you have them sign online, it kicks them back a copy. So as long as they're signing online, they're
Yes.
already getting a copy. It's
Right.
just the people that are signing in person, that you need to give a paper copy to. Those are the ones that you'd have to give a paper copy to.
Right. Okay.
That made me think of something too, and now I don't remember. Your broker probably has a place to house your documents for you to upload them into for your transactions. Most people probably do, where you have to have all your final documents uploaded somewhere so that they can quality control them and have a copy of it. So that's
she's very old fashioned.
yeah.
So
My
she's
wife doesn't like Google Docs.
and she's a paper girl all the way. So I'm helping her along the way a little bit. So I'm trying to make it. I went in, and so when I put them in there, I have FE_ for fully executed. I have SB for signer signed buyer, because you don't want to reverse it. And then I do seller sign. So I'll put those initials in front of the name of the doc. So I put seller signed _ the address of the property, thank you, and then _ and then the name of the document. So that way she knows exactly which one to grab without having to open them all.
Right, which is good for you too. If you have to go in and get them, if you're
Yes.
looking online, that's good for you to be able to get them as well. So that's really helpful. Does anybody else have any questions or things that you struggle with, Sammy?
Do you set aside time, and how much do you plan? I don't think you do it now, but like when you first started, for like 1, learning social media, or 2, learning construction of homes, or just different things like that, so you'll be able to answer questions? Or did you just learn as you went, like as you're showing homes and the client has a question about courts, or just anything like that? How much did you set aside for timeline, or trends in your, besides looking at the MLS trends in your area that are
Right. Trends in the area. So I naturally, if I didn't have something to do, if I didn't have homes to show, I would fill my time with something. So making sure that you're not putting ahead like the money making activities, which would be if you have leads to follow up with, if you have people to call, right? If you have people to show houses to, like that's where you would need to first put your time. If you have nothing to do, then you would go into like the prospecting or learning about social media or whatever is going to like the improvement part of yourself. Then you would go into that, and whatever you really feel like doing, whatever's going to spark your interest, because then you'll pay most attention to it anyway, is what I would suggest. I was interested in new construction, I had so much time on my hands that I would follow around the builder and I would show up on the job site all the time. So I would talk to the trades, I would see what was going on like every day. The funny thing was, that's the subdivision I live in now, is the first subdivision that I started working on. And I went home to my husband one day. I was here so often in the subdivision that my Google whatever used to think it was home. It would say like, you will be home in X amount of minutes, but home was here. And this was not home, right? So I went home one day, which is like 15 minutes away. And I told my husband, I'm there all the time anyway. It thinks it's home. Like, why don't we move into town? Because I'm there all the time. And I had to go back and forth. But it did. It thought I was home. I was here all the time just soaking up as much information as I possibly could from everybody. I would bring the workers lunch. Oh, they love me. The framers. I'd make cinnamon rolls. Like, because that's what I was. I was a stay-at-home mom. I made everything. Right? I homemade everything. So what did I have time to do? I had time to make food because that's what I did really well. And so I'd bring them food. I'd go around, breadsticks and fettuccine Alfredo all the way around. Every single worker that was on the job. I'm not kidding. I was like everybody's best friend because they were like, wow. But what did I have to do besides go like foster? What I was doing was fostering relationships and meeting these people, right? And getting to know them is what I was doing. And now, all favorites, but so whatever you have time to do, not feeding everybody necessarily, but that's whatever you're interested in, because that's what you're going to put most of your effort toward, and what you're going to retain the best is not something that's being crammed down your throat. It's something that you're actually interested in learning. So looking for the opportunities, I would say, in the things that you can learn, but make sure that they're purposeful and that eventually they will be money-making activities or get you to that point. There's a lot of things that we can do in our job that aren't money-making activities. And being careful that we're not doing so many of those that we're forgetting to do the money-making activities. That's important. Anybody else? How does everyone download emails into transaction folders on your desktop? Download emails into transaction folders. You might have to, Delcy, you might have to explain that one for me. Like right-clicking and saving a file is what that's making me think of. We'll see if she has on there. All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have one.
Okay.
I think I kind of drifted off a minute when you were talking about reminders, and something voice came up. You were talking to, was that Alexa or something?
Well, so if you have an Android, I think you use Alexa. If you are iPhone, mine's iPhone, so then you say, "Hey Siri," and then
Siri. Oh, okay. All right.
if it's an iPhone, you can say, "Hey Siri."
Okay.
Oh, you can't get the microphone with. You mean downloading each individual email. So you don't usually download the email. Usually the emails are already in your folder. So I guess you might have to expand on that one. If I have documents that come in from other people that I need, I always just right click, save it on my desktop. Yes, there you go. So you can do print to PDF and save it in your transaction folder. You can do that as well. Good job, Gay. Thank you. I'm like trying to decipher that one. So with all of this, if nobody else has any other comments or questions or stressors in your life, with all of it, the key to any of this is I wore this shirt today on purpose. My broken crayon still color. It's like one of my favorite. It's a Trent Shelton shirt. Because there's not one way to do something. And then if you're doing something, the biggest favor you can do to yourself is self-analyzation. That's the only way that you're going to get better. And the only way that you're going to come out of frustration. So if you're frustrated and the day didn't go very well, or you feel like you weren't very productive during the week, instead of being like, gosh, I'm broken and I'm not good at it, and you get negative self-talk, it's the positive self-talk of, okay, what happened? What threw me off? What could I have done differently? Make some notes about that and then do better the next week. That's the only way that you're going to make progress. So you will inevitably have new things that come up. You know, the life cycle of this business is going to change. You're going to go from, wow, I can only do 2 or 3 things at a time, to, wow, I can only do 10 at a time, right? The life cycle of the business for you is going to change. And therefore, how you deal with it is going to change as well. So when you start to get a little bit flubbed up, just know that it's probably because you're growing. And okay, if I'm growing, that's a good positive thing. Now what do I need to do differently in order to move forward, right? And I'll say the largest lesson that I learned was I used to feel like I didn't have time for anything. Well, and I used to have just as many things plus more on my board, right? And I still felt like I didn't have time for myself, or time to eat lunch, or time to get exercise. Well, now I've thrown in teaching class twice a week, preparing for that, doing a bunch of other stuff. How did I fit all those things in? Like, you can. I just had to reassess where I was at, where I put my time, and get a little bit more efficient, right? Take like another step forward in getting a little bit more efficient so that I could show up the way I needed to show up and be able to do all the things that I desire to do, that I want to do. So self-assessment is very powerful, very powerful. So on that note, I wish you all really great weekends.